We will now call the business session of the March 19th, 2024 meeting to order at 6:22 p.m. Apologize for the delay, everybody. All council members are present. Welcome to our guests and visitors. We provide an opportunity for the public to address the City Council on any agenda item or during the hearing of visitors portion of the agenda. On items other than public hearings, speakers will be allotted one 3-minute presentation regardless of the number of agenda items the speaker wishes to address. If you're here to speak and have not filled out a registration card, please see the City Secretary staff at the registration table outside the auditorium so that staff can contact you if necessary. If you have handouts, please let us know at the beginning of your presentation and staff will distribute those to council. If you're unable to approach the podium due to physical limitations, a microphone is available to be brought to you. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first item of business is to consider the minutes of the February 20th, 2024 regular City Council meeting. These minutes were provided to you in your packet. Are there any corrections? If none, the minutes will stand approved as submitted. The first public hearing we have tonight is public hearing 2024-140.
The council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution granting a special permit to North Paw Partners LLC for 5 small lot single-family dwellings in R2 zoning district on property described as lots 3, 4, and 5A, block 13 of the Chamberlain Taylor Edition, known as 1111 North 4th, lot 9, block 13, Chamberlain Edition, and Taylor Edition, known as 1117 North 5th Street, and lot 10, block 13, Chamberlain Taylor Edition, known as 1121 North 5th Street. By a vote of 7-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the request based on the following findings: that the proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the purpose and intent of the Chapter 28 zoning of the Code of Ordinances, and that the proposed use is compatible with the appropriate and orderly development of the area in which it's located, that the proposed use would not be more objectionable to neighboring properties because of traffic congestion, noise, fumes, vibrations, or any other characteristics than any use permitted in the zoning district without the grant of the special exception, and that available community facilities and services, including the road system providing access to the proposed use, are adequate for the proposed use.
Are there any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing for comments. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? If not, I will close the public hearing and I'll ask for a motion.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield. Rodriguez.
Aye.
Holmes.
Aye.
Borderoux.
Yes.
Ewing.
Yes.
Meek.
So motion carries, and we'll go to public hearing 2024-141.
The council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, abandoning a .27 acres of land in the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, being a part of South 10th Street, shown in the J.W. Manns addition to the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, as per plat recorded in volume 28, page 243 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas, and located adjacent to lots 1 through 7, block B of the J.W. Manns addition, known as 1001 Webster Avenue, adopting findings and conditions from the Waco Plan Commission for the abandonment, finding no duty to maintain, authorizing the city manager to execute quitclaim deeds, providing a severability clause, and finding determined the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 7-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the abandonment based on the following findings and conditions. The findings that the portion of the abandoned right-of-way outside of the proposed fire access easement is not needed for the proper flow or traffic for emergency vehicle access to the area or adjacent properties. 2, utility access for surrounding properties is not adversely impacted by the abandonment of the right-of-way. And 3, the abandonment provides for better development opportunities for properties oriented towards Webster Avenue and South 11th. We do have 2 conditions. 1, provide a 13-foot fire access easement from the center line of the street within the abandoned portion of the right-of-way. A 26-foot marked fire lane must be provided within the easement and the remaining South 10th Street right-of-way. And 2, a 20-foot water line easement shall be retained centered on the existing public water line in South 10th Street with a 10-foot water line easement retained connecting the 20-foot water easement in the remaining South 10th Street right-of-way, or relocate the public water line with a 20-foot water line easement centered on the relocated public water line, or abandon the existing public water line subject to City of Waco line abandonment requirements for an approval from the property owner at 408 South 10th Street. No deed will be filed by the city until the conditions are met.
Are there any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing for comment. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Now I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye.
Porteroo.
Yes.
Ewing.
Yes.
Meek.
So motion carries. We'll move to public hearing 2024-142.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the Code of Ordinances be amended by revising Section 28-247 in Chapter 28 zoning, the said code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that certain property described as .921 acres of land described as Lot 3, Block 60, the Campbell Addition, known as a portion of 1211 Webster Avenue, and lots 4, 5, 6, and 7, Block 60 of the Campbell Addition, known as 419 South 11th Street, shall be changed from M2 district classification and be designated into C4 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, and finally determine the meeting which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 6-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the zone change based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is in conformance with the land use component of the comprehensive plan and the Imagine Waco plan for greater downtown. 2, the existing public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in C4 zoning. 3, the area has been transitioning from industrial uses to commercial mixed uses over the past several decades, and that C4 zoning is becoming the dominant zoning along this section of Webster Avenue.
Any questions for staff?
No.
We'll open a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? If not, I'll close the public hearing. I'll ask for a motion.
Move for approval on first reading.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Rodriguez. Holmes.
Aye.
Porteroo.
Yes.
Ewing.
Yes.
Meek.
Motion carries. We'll move to public hearing 2024-143.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a continuance of a public hearing to consider an ordinance changing the land use designation from medium-density residential office flex to mixed-use flex and rezoning from R1B to C2 on property described as 6.575 acres of land located in the TJ Chambers Survey Abstract Number 7, McLennan County, Texas, and being a portion of a tract of land conveyed to High Five Trust, BJA Mark, by a deed recorded in instrument number 2022-017-132 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, and rezoning from R1B to R3C on property described as 3 tracts of land being 45.177 total acres located in the TJ Chambers Survey Abstract Number 7, McLennan County, Texas, and being portion of a tract of land conveyed to High Five Trust, BJA Mark, by a deed recorded in instrument number 2022-017-132 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, all known as the 2300 South New Road. By a vote of 9-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the land use change based on the following findings. 1, the public infrastructure is adequate provide for zoning districts allowed in proposed mixed-use flex. 2, the property is located in close proximity to 2 major thoroughfares, New Road and Interstate 35. Plan Commission also recommend rezoning of the 6.575 from R1B to C2 based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan as revised. 2, the property meets all the area and width requirements for C2 zoning. 3, the proposed zoning, C2 zoning is a dominant zoning along I-35 and South and New Road. And the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in the C2 zoning district. Plan Commission also recommended the zone change to R3C and the remaining property based on the following findings. The proposed zoning is keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan. The property meets all the area and width requirements for R3C zoning, and the proposed R3C zoning would act as a buffer between more commercial uses along I-35 and south of New Road to the residential uses north of the subject property.
Are there any questions for staff?
No.
We will reopen the public hearing for comments. Is there anyone here to speak on this matter?
Mayor Meek and Councilwoman Rodriguez and council members, I'm Robert Horton with Horton TX. We are the developers of the project. We've met with staff, planning staff several times, and again with Councilwoman Rodriguez and the mayor on this specifically. I think we've answered the questions, but more than happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Any questions? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here to speak? If not, we will close the public hearing and I'll ask for a motion.
Move for approval.
Motion and second, any discussion? Please poll the council.
Yes. Holmes.
Aye.
Porterud.
Yes.
Ewing. Yes. Meek.
Yes. That motion is carried. The following resolutions have been pulled for the consent agenda. The first is Resolution 2024 154, 160, and then 163. Is there a motion on Resolution 2024-154?
I'll move for approval.
Motion second, any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield.
Yes.
Rodriguez. Holmes.
Aye.
Ewing. Meek.
Yes, that motion carries. Next, we have Resolution 2024-160, and I have a card of Bethel Erickson.
Hi, I'm Bethel Erickson with the Waco Downtown Farmers Market. Mainly here just to represent the market as we are launching our second season at Bridge Street on Wednesday evenings, and that's tomorrow evening, and every Wednesday through Juneteenth for the spring season, and then we'll launch back in the fall. So really here just to show support for relaunching another season and highlight that we will be partnering with Creative Waco in the fall season for their concert series, for the Love It Ant concert series. So they'll be moving their Saturday concerts to Wednesday evenings as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Bethel.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks.
Is there a motion for Resolution 2024-160?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield. Rodriguez. Holmes.
Aye.
Porterud.
Yes.
Ewing. Meek.
Yes, that motion carries. And we'll move to Resolution 2024-163, and that is from Alan Northcutt. We have a card from Alan Northcutt, sorry.
Yep.
I apologize for the casual attire tonight. No disrespect intended.
Bacon.
Now, this resolution, 163, is for the approval of a combustion engine truck with a grapple uplift. And I do recognize that there may not be an EV equivalent at this time, but I want to call your attention to something else important in this agenda document. You recall that the council often approves the purchase of combustion refuse trucks, and we always recommend that an electric version be purchased instead. And the city's response has always been that electric is not available, although we have always noted in the past that multiple cities have been using electric garbage trucks. So I call your attention to the handout. It's the second page, and I have a copy of the agenda page for this resolution. Note that the staff did the research in this case and found that 2 of the electric truck manufacturers, that's Mack, LR Electric, and Battle Motors, do have refuse trucks available for order now. The statements of refuse trucks are outlined in red on your handout, so you can easily find that. So in other words, there are refuse trucks, electric refuse trucks, available to order instead of these gas and diesel trucks we've been using in the past. So in the future, when this comes up, you'll know already that there are electric versions available. In addition to the greenhouse gas emissions, a refuse truck that's electric will improve air quality for the drivers and for all citizens. lessen lung damage, and also decrease sound pollution. Now, the City Council discussed drought and water shortage in the work session today, so I don't need to discuss those impacts of the climate crisis. Y'all are well aware of those. We also know about heat waves and floods, but recent information indicates that we have increased risk of wildfire in addition in our area. And you'll see in the first page of your handout that what we call fire weather days, those that are hot, dry, and windy and meet certain criteria, have increased by 17 since 1973. So we have an increased risk of wildfire in the Waco area. So this is another reason the city should do it all it can to cut emissions, and buying an electric garbage truck is a powerful way to do this. Remembering that the transportation sector is the #1 source of greenhouse gas emissions in the United States. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion on Resolution 2024-163?
I'll move for approval.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Aye.
Holmes?
Aye.
Borderood?
Yes.
Ewing?
Yes.
Meek?
Yes, that motion carries. We'll move to the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of resolutions 2024-144 through 186, except for 154, 160, and 163. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Any discussion?
Mayor, I just wanted to call out two of the resolutions really quickly. One, Resolution 2024-156 is a D4 resident whose home we discovered there was a sinkhole under caused by some very, very old City of Waco infrastructure, and we're going to make sure that we take care of them financially and assist with relocation efforts, and as well as the purchase of their home. And I just want to call that out as not as a way for us to pat ourselves on the back, but as a precedent to continue doing the right thing for our citizens. And it is my hope and my sincere belief that our staff will continue to go above and beyond in the assistance of the relocation efforts for this home, but also for any of these issues or thereabout that we run into in the future. And then second is Resolution 2024-177 with the infrastructure work happening between 26th and 30th on Washington Avenue. We are aware from past council meetings of the need for additional traffic measures there, and I spoke with staff about this, and I know that those are going to they're going to be conscious of that as they're redoing this street after they are done with the infrastructure work with the mill and overlay there. To make it less car-centric and more focused on the residents of the neighborhood as it transitions to being a more residential area. And I just would like to acknowledge that and hope that moving forward as we're redoing streets in our city, that we have a conscious effort of being conscious of where they're at. If there's residents around, making sure that the streets are designed for residents and not necessarily for vehicle use. So that's all.
Thank you, Councilmember. We have a motion and a second. Please poll the council.
Rodriguez?
Aye.
Holmes?
Aye.
Borderood?
Yes.
Ewing? Meek?
Carries. We'll move to ordinance 2024-187.
City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, amending ordinance number 2022-117 to authorize the use of the facsimile signature of Paul Kane as interim director of finance on all checks, vouchers, and warrants in accordance with Article 7, Section 9 of the Charter of the City of Waco, Texas, effective March 25th, 2024. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, finding and determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law, and declaring emergency. This comes to council on emergency reading, which requires the favorable vote of 3/4 of all council members qualified and serving.
Second. Oh, you are out of order, sir. Mic was on. I'm sorry about that.
Silly tail.
Is there a motion?
Second.
We have a motion in 2 seconds. Any discussion? Council.
Fairfield?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Aye.
Holmes? Borderood? Ewing? Kane?
anything out of the minutes.
That motion carries, and because this is an emergency reading, we'll have to have a second reading on this.
An ordinance of the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, amending ordinance number 2022-117 to authorize the use of the facsimile signature of Paul Kane as interim director of finance on all checks, vouchers, and warrants in accordance with Article 7, Section 9 of the Charter of the City of Waco, Texas, effective March 5th, 2024, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, finding and terminating the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law, and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Rodriguez. Holmes. Porterud.
Yes.
Ewing.
Yes.
Meek.
Yes. Motion carries, and based on previous discussion, we're going to move to ordinance 2024-190.
Mayor, I think y'all skipped 188.
Oh, okay. Awesome. We will do ordinance 2024-188.
Ordinance adding Section 2-2 of Article 1 in general of Chapter 2 Administration of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco, Texas, to govern usage of the official city flag, seal, and logo, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a savings clause, providing for inclusion in the code, providing an effective date, providing for a penalty, and finding and determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance comes to council on first reading.
Is there a motion?
Yes, Mayor, I move for approval.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. Any discussion?
Yeah, just briefly, Mayor. One of the good things about this ordinance, in addition to helping us control our distinctive marks and the way they're used, is that it allows our citizens, our residents, our businesses, and other organizations to fly the flag of the City of Waco. And so I think that's a very exciting thing.
Agreed. Please poll the council.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Rodriguez. Holmes. Porterud.
Yes.
Ewing.
Yes.
Meek.
So motion carries. We'll move to ordinance 2024-190.
An ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, authorizing a developer participation agreement with Spiegelville Land Holdings LLC, SLH, owner of approximately 221.5 acres located 1.85 miles north of U.S. Highway 84 and east of Spiegelville Road property, to provide for expansion of the city's water and wastewater systems to the vicinity of the property and allow the City of Waco to, number one, participate in the total cost of public improvements on the property and reimburse SLH an amount not to exceed $2,012,167 in installments based on percentage of work completed. And number two, participate in the total cost of oversizing of improvements, increasing capacity to water and sanitary sewer improvements required by the city for SLH's development of the property, since they are necessary to provide adequate capacity for existing and future development, and reimburse SLH an amount not to exceed $3,375,612 in installments based on percentage of work completed in accordance with Texas Local Government Code Sections 212.071 through 212.074, authorizing the city manager to execute any documents in connection therewith, repealing all ordinance or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, and finally determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 6-0 council vote on first reading on February 20th, 2024.
Is there a motion?
Move for approval on second reading.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Fairfield. Rodriguez. Holmes. Porterud.
Yes.
Ewing.
Yes.
Meek.
Yes, that motion carries. Next is the hearing of visitors. During the hearing of visitors section of the agenda, we provide an opportunity for the public to present concerns or address issues that are not matters for consideration listed on the agenda. Council is unable to conduct discussion, but will listen, ask staff to look into concerns, and provide follow-up. Please provide registration information so that staff can contact you if necessary. If you have handouts, please let us know at the beginning of your presentation, and staff will distribute those to council. And if you're unable to approach the podium due to physical limitations, a microphone is available to be brought to you. I have several cards tonight, and the first is Jessica Ford. And on deck, we'll have Albert Minigo. I might be mispronouncing that. Hi, Jessica.
Council, Mayor Meek, thank you for having us. I come before you as president of the Dean Highland Neighborhood Association to discuss the voice and ongoing and increasing concerns of safety on Maple Avenue. I specifically want to draw your attention to 3 points. 1, the repeated efforts by the Neighborhood Association to engage the city for meaningful solutions. 2, the ongoing and increasing safety concerns on Maple, and 3, request for the city to make all-way stop signs a priority on Maple in order to change the use and perception of Maple Avenue, which will make this road safer for both residents and local stakeholders. For the sake of time, let me just state that the efforts to address speeding and safety concerns on Maple have been consistent for nearly 3 years since the Neighborhood Association officially formed, and Councilman Ewing knows these very well. We have requested, and multiple times at our meetings, for the presence of Teresa Bryant, James Bailey, Jared Wallace to discuss our safety concerns, and have had consistent meetings with them over the last 3 years. Granted, our meetings have resulted in painted lines on the street as a possible traffic calming measure, but we were told that stop signs weren't possible. We were not satisfied with this approach, and we received much pushback from our neighborhood, but we figured, hey, something is better than nothing. Our requests for stop signs for the last 3 years have been met with a seemingly endless loop of information gathering meetings between city officials and our board members, several speed studies which have required residents to place radar machines on their property, meetings with stakeholders at Dean Highland Elementary, Highland Baptist, and the Neighborhood Association, another traffic study which was conducted earlier this month, as well as proposed meetings that never seem to get off the ground. The process has been time-consuming, and if I'm being honest, has made me question the utility of the Neighborhood Association and our efforts to make Dean Highland a better place to live, visit, and work. All of these efforts has been adjacent to ongoing safety concerns. For example, in the last 2 months, we had a kid hit by a car in front of Scott's house. We had a house hit by a car which needed significant repairs to it on 32nd and Maple. And we had, on 2 occasions, the cars belonging to the residents on the 3100 block of Maple had their cars struck by cars going down Maple Avenue. I can tell you that these events are not isolated, but they are ongoing, and they're symptomatic of a problematic perception of Maple Avenue by drivers. Maple Avenue is seen as a cut-through street, which is corroborated with a recent traffic study showing that in a 2-week period, nearly 15,000 cars go down Maple Avenue. The street is narrow. It's not Cumberland. It's not Ethel. It's not Herring or Lyle. It is a narrow 28-feet street, and the speed limit is 30 miles per hour, which is already fast on a narrow street. And it has unique needs. It is connected to Dean Highland Elementary and Highland Baptist Church, which serves families and children that commute continually between the 2 entities. And we are asking one more time for consideration of 2 stop signs, all-way stop signs, to be placed on 31st and 32nd to help stop the perception of Maple as a cut-through, but as a neighborhood street that serves some of the best and brightest stakeholders in our city and our neighbors. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Albert Manigo. I might be mispronouncing that. And then on deck, we'll have Franz Highland. Manigo. Sorry about that. Appreciate that.
Good evening, Mayor Meeks and City Council members. We are the Manigos, Albert Manigo, my wife, Emma Manigo. We would like the City Council members to grant us special permit for our short-term rental 2, our Airbnb located at 4225 Kendall Lane in Waco, Texas. Our purpose is to conduct a survey on the individuals who might want to rent the house for a short stay. The majority felt uncomfortable with someone being there among their family members while sleeping up under the same roof. We would be very appreciative if you and the City Council members would grant us this privilege. Thank you to the City Council members for your time.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Next, we have Franz Highland, followed by Kay Bell.
Hello, I'm Franz Highland. I live at 1615 Park Lake Drive. And I have a problem with the lot next door that City Waco owns. It has attacked my fence. I mean, this stuff is growing over 6, 8 feet tall. It's going over my fence and it's going straight up. It's dangerous. I have pictures, but I don't. But I went to the code enforcement They say if it lands in my yard, it's mine. This stuff is growing like 20 feet up and coming down. And it's about to ruin my fence. So that's why I see if there's any help.
Thank you for being here. We can't comment on this because it's not on our agenda, but I know staff will get with you and we'll work towards solutions.
I do appreciate your time.
Thanks, sir. Next, we have Kay Bell.
Good evening. I'm Kay Bell, President of the National Women in Agriculture Association. And I also serve as the Texas President of the National Women in Agriculture. And I'm on the board of the American Community Garden Association. So I want to say, last week I had the opportunity to go to a board meeting about American Community Garden. And while I was there, there were several delegates from different cities telling about their community gardens. And what impressed me so much was that the Seattle, Washington, which is a large city, has 90 community gardens in their city, which is sponsored by the city of Seattle, Washington. These gardens are under the Parks and Recreation of their city. I looked in Texas to see what we had, and just right down the road in Austin, Texas, they have exactly 29 gardens, which is sponsored by the city of Austin. And it's located, the gardens are located on their website. The city sponsors it, and the gardens are used by everybody. It brings fresh local vegetables to neighborhoods. It improves health, and it causes unity, and it cleans up our environment. So tonight I'm coming in asking that the city of Waco, Texas will follow suit with these cities that have taken on the initiative to have community gardens under their umbrella, and support them like these cities have, that our environment may improve, that our environment will cause more healthy eating for the neighborhoods. And so I just come today asking for the city to take on the initiative of community garden for the city of Waco.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present who would like to speak during the hearing of visitors? If not, we will close the hearing of visitors. Are there any council announcements tonight?
I have a few. I'll go fast. Mayor, last week I had the privilege of going to Washington, D.C. for the National League of Cities Congressional City Conference. I serve on the board for the National League of Cities. And of course, NLC celebrated, myself and Councilmember Rodriguez were there. NLC is celebrating their 100-year anniversary, so there was a whole bunch going on, including a visit from President Biden. Former Secretary Henry Cisneros was a fireside chat speaker. Councilmember Rodriguez didn't care about that at all. But what I wanted to make sure I shared with you all was that in that course, I was interviewed by the Department of Transportation about how we have responded to receiving our SS4A grant, and if we had any issues or difficulties or things that they could do to consider making those processes easier. So we had a really insightful conversation. It was 4 or 5 staff members in from DOT. And, you know, we talked about how the NOFO, which is the call for bids, the turnaround time was a little short and that they've corrected that. So we talked about that. We also talked about the fact that Waco has been successful, and when they asked, you know, are you applying again? I was like, of course we are, please and thank you. But it was a great conversation with the Department of Transportation. Also, in reference to some of the things that we heard today, I had a great Hill Day. We went to, of course, see Congressman Sessions, and in that, a few days prior to our Hill visit, the minibus was signed, and which means the appropriations that the city of Waco requested, of the 11 we requested, 9.5 have been funded, including $3.5 million directly for the STEAM Center. So who's happy? We're happy. Also, but in that time, I had several conversations with not only Congressman Sessions, but we stopped by Congressman Allred's office. We stopped by Congresswoman Crockett's office, who we had a conversation with her staffer because she serves on the Agriculture Board or Committee, and we talked about USDA grants that would allow for community gardens. So this is a conversation that we are having on the federal level too. So just, we hear the requests of the community. I was in real time when we found out that Secretary Marsha Fudge, who is the Secretary of HUD, was resigning. I know how impactful the monies that we get for HUD have been for our communities. We spoke just about, the repairs that we're able to do. That money comes from HUD money, and so we have been incredibly appreciative of the advancement of her tenure on as the Secretary of HUD, but we know the work will still continue. I think that's all I have to report, but know that NLC has got a lot of things going on. There were a lot new. There was also conversations with EPA about some, $9 billion of money that is available at this point. And I know that the city of Waco is diligently, where staff is diligently working to figure out what our piece of that is and looks like. So federally, National League of Cities is still representing and advocating for cities, towns, and villages, and Waco is one of those. So we had a good visit.
All right. Thank you all for going and representing Waco well. Thank you for your investment and time, but also bringing back that really critical knowledge to our community. It's remarkable to me how every time we go to DC, we truly do come back wiser and more able to represent our constituents, knowing how to navigate some issues and get funding. So thanks for your time.
Absolutely.
Alice, did you have a chance to make it over to Baltimore and get some, was it crab that you like to get over there? Is that what it is?
No, I did not. I was interested in following Henry around. That I couldn't, Joking, no.
Mayor, I want
Next time.
to give a shout out to Lisa Blackman, Jonathan Cook, the whole Parks and Rec team. Really looking forward to Eclipse Over Waco's concert offerings and art offerings coming up in a few weeks. Dwight Yoakam as a headliner is a big get. Getting Big Boy of Outkast is no slouch at all. My first cassette tape was Arrested Development. That was special for me, so I'm excited about that. My wife and I, one Christmas before we married, actually exchanged Speaker Box and The Love Below, unbeknownst to each other. So this means a lot to the Borderoot household. So grateful for y'all's hard work and excited for it.
That's what's up.
Wow.
That's what's up.
A little TMI maybe.
No, that's great.
Now we'll have to explain that to a whole bunch of people after this meeting, but don't worry about it.
Because I already asked and informed staff of my request of getting Big Boy a key to the city and the reason why I wanted to do that, I will forego that here, and I will just say, while I know we cannot discuss things from the hearing of visitors as they're not posted on the agenda, as a resident of the Dean Highland neighborhood, I look forward to discussing things that were brought before us tonight when we can't get them on an agenda. So.
Absolutely. We'll take that seriously for sure. Last thing I had is that, as a reminder, the La Vega girls basketball team won 4A state title for a second year in a row.
Yeah, they did.
So we're going to have them come back in April to congratulate them on their win. So we're working on getting them here. All right. Are there any requests for future agenda items? If not, we will adjourn at 7:01 p.m. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.